Hi everyone, and welcome back to my channel, Financially Fit with Katie. Today what we're going to go through are money lessons that we all wish we learned in high school. Clients come into me all the time and they'll say, I wish I learned this back when I was in my 20s, or I wish I learned this, back when I was a kid. And, they need in school systems, I believe, they should have a basic financial literacy class, because some of these tips, even though they might seem basic, they are that, fundamental kind of framework that individuals need, or, as they learn, and the more that they learn this, it can really help set them up to be in a much better financial position through their life, and allow them, to reach or get to those goals that they want. So what we're going to discuss today, what these lessons are, first being how to balance your checkbook, the basics of budgeting, how to use a credit card, how to build your credit, and lastly, the basics of the stock market. So, with all of these different tools, even, for myself right now, I'm a certified financial planner. I went to school. I took a lot of different courses that help me, enable to guide my clients and to teach them tips and strategies that are going to help them, depending on whatever stage of life that they're in. But I will tell you, probably, from that high school up through probably my late 20s, early 30s, I found myself in issues where I wish that some of this I had learned. And that's part two of why I felt so, kind of moved to want to do this channel. I want to be able to provide these tips to individuals so that maybe some of the things that I had to go through, you won't need to. So let's get started on the first one. So first, how to balance a checkbook. Now, I know what you're saying, Katie, I don't even have a checkbook. Many people don't, but that does not mean that you should not know how to kind of manage, what's coming in and what's going out. So if you're not writing out checks and you don't have the check register, you still should be logging into your banking system at least, every other week. But if you could go in at least on a weekly basis, the more that you do it, the better that you'll get to kind of know where you're at. What do you want to do when you log into these? You want to know, well, how much came in? If you're on a base salary, then your bi-weekly or weekly pay is probably pretty similar. But if it's not, then you want to know, how much is coming in. And then also you should have an idea of what are those fixed expenses that need to go out. And you want to be checking your account to see, okay, I got paid and I know, my rent came out and my cell phone bill came out. Maybe you have a car payment. You want to be checking these off, and you want to have an understanding of how much money you have available for other expenses that you might have. And the only way that you can really do this is if you're logging into those systems. And if, maybe you're using an online cash tracking tool, maybe like mint.com, which is a great one, then if you go in there too and you've got the accounts linked, it's going to start pulling in these expenses. So it's so important to be able to, kind of know what you should be looking for, and you should be doing that on a pretty regular basis, because, that way then if you're out at stores, you kind of know when you're buying things, all right, I have enough money in there, and not have to feel worried like, oh no, is that going to drain my accounts? Am I going to get hit with overcharge fees? Because those can really start to add up and cause real issues for you. So that kind of goes in with the second one, the basics of budgeting. Now, this is a one where I feel like, back when I went to school, you took, home ec and you had basic kind of wood building type classes, which I know a lot of that they're probably not doing anymore, but those were all tools to try to give you an understanding of things that you might need to do as you progress maybe into your first apartment or into your first house. Budgeting, they really should have a course set up on this. A great budgeting tool that I like, and I will have some links in the description, it's the 50-30-20 rule. Now, I have a whole budget worksheet that I use with my clients. It's interactive, so it allows up to update the numbers. It's all based on your net income. So again, you need to log into your accounts. You need to know what's coming in. And then you want to separate your expenses on 50%. That's your absolute needs. So that's your mortgage, your rent, your utilities, any of your groceries, any of those essential needs that you need. 30%, those are your wants. That's your discretionary expenses. So, getting your nails done, maybe getting your hair colored. Expenses that, these are nice to have, but they're not absolute needs, and they should only then be done if you have the money there to cover it. So 30% of your net overall income allocated towards those wants, and then 20% would be for savings and or debt payments. And so normally still, if an individual has a lot of, whether it's credit card debt, student loans, car payment, we still want to kind of allocate at least 10% that needs to go into a savings account, and that would be building up that emergency needs, so in the future you know that you're covered on that. So that is a great one, and I'll again put some little tips in there for you to look at. The next, how to use a credit card. Now this one, I will tell you, I got my first credit card. It was in high school. I probably had no business having a credit card, and I did have to learn the hard way starting out that no, money does not grow on trees, and no, you cannot just go buy everything that you want. Things need to be paid. So it's really important that, yes, this kind of ties directly into number 4, which is how to build credit. So I'm going to kind of do them together. In order to have credit, which you need credit, as you move on in life, because if you want to buy a car, or, looking to get an apartment or buy a home, even, in some jobs, they are going to run your credit. In order to have credit, you do need to have, open up a credit card, or you need to be building credit in a way that's responsible. And I feel like, especially in colleges, they'll have, times are a little different right now because a lot is being done remotely, but there will be a time that we will be back at campuses. And, back in those student halls, they'll have, credit card companies that come out, or different, lending facilities, and they try to, sign up with us and you'll get, a free, I don't even know, mug, but nowadays that they'll give like small technology type devices. That's all fine and dandy, but you have to know how to be responsible with that. So again, that credit card should not be a free ticket to just go buy whatever you want, or I'm going to every concert known to man, and then at the end of the day not be able to pay that, because often a lot of those starter credit cards too are going to have pretty high interest rates. And if you're not able to pay that balance off at the end of the month, now all of a sudden it's going to start accumulating interest, and you could find yourself in a position that the end of the month, every time you make that payment, you're barely, chopping off what's at the interest charges. So it's so important early on to really learn how to be responsible with a credit card, because that can really, it helps you build your credit. And the higher that your credit score is, that's going to help you later on in life to really be able to qualify for the best rates and things like that. So I can't stress enough, yes, you do need to have credit cards or, established loans in order to build good credit, but you have to learn how to really be responsible for that. And again, knowing what your budget is, what you can use for that, it really goes a long way. And then lastly, the basics of the stock market. So with this, I'm not saying that, someone needs to be an analyst and go online and start to look at charts and graphs and, when was it at, a stock at the high. But individuals should have an understanding of, what is a mutual fund, what is a stock, an equity fund, and what is fixed income and a bond, and know how, over a long period of time of investing with dollar cost averaging, with the power of compounding, that starting from an early age, that can really help you, if you're setting up things and you're doing systematic savings, which I'm a huge advocate for, and I have a lot of my clients, you know, I will have them set up a Roth early on, set up a monthly payment going into it. It really starts to teach you to pay yourself first, and then you can really start to see that power of compounding, you know, especially getting an understanding of what's a dividend and how do they pay. So having just some of those basic terms and being comfortable with it, that can help you as you start to decide what are some of those goals that I want. You know, is it to buy my first house? Is it to have children and, you know, get married? All of these things take money, and so it needs to come from somewhere. So starting out at an early age and being able to, you know, once you start having a position, you know, maybe establishing a Roth IRA and saving $25 or $50 a month, it really will start to add up over time. So I hope that these tips helped you. Again, check out the description box. If you have any questions or comments, know that you can always reach out to me too. My email is there. And thank you so much. And also remember to subscribe if you have not. So until next time, everyone, thank you so much and take care.